the Nitro RC Nerds here, at least one of them. Andrew is out playing paintball with some of his buddies, and so he's the one, as always, missing out, because today what I want to do is give a review of the Savage X 4.6. This is something we've had now for about 4, 5, maybe even 6 months, and I think we've gotten to know it well to where we can give an actual review as opposed with, you know, people will get a car and give a review like the next week. I think it's very important to fully understand your vehicle before giving a review. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Now my assumption is that you're watching this because you're considering getting a Savage X 4.6. And I can tell you that we were on the fence between getting this and a Jado a while back, and I started thinking to myself, you know, because we're buggy guys, right, and truggy guys, and I started thinking it would be really cool to have another class, something that, you know, that we can just go out and really, really bash with. And so we decided, instead of a speed demon like the Jado, that we'd go ahead and get the monster truck. And what we found initially is that they're very hard to handle. So personally, I like cars on rails. I like, you know, like my Losi 810, I mean, that thing is like a slot car, just like a little whippet out there, just zigzagging. You're not going to be able to do that with the Savage. And that's just simply because, you know, it's got a lot of roll and it is a monster truck. So it is a little bit difficult to maintain at higher speeds, but we've tuned the shocks a little bit, the setup on it, to help us control it a little better. And so now I think we're able to really get it at high speeds and control it. So let's go ahead and take a look under the hood, and there you go. You can see from the layout it's completely different than a buggy. In fact, the chassis is on its side. It's got 2 rails here and this X, thus the Savage X. And let's see, let's go through the bad stuff first, I guess. Wrenching on this can be a little bit challenging, and really that's just because it's different than a 1/8 buggy or truggy. But we've learned, and I haven't done a whole lot to it. I've taken the engine out a few times. I've changed some servos on it. I've taken the transmission out. I've done a few little upgrades to it, but I haven't really necessarily taken the whole thing apart. But again, it's just kind of learning. The manual sucks, I'm going to be honest. And it's really, you know, it just gives you an exploded view, which is nice, but the exploded view is so chopped up. It's very difficult to kind of get the overall picture, and there's some areas where it's not accurate, I think at least. So that's kind of the downside. Other part is the servos. The servos on this are really bad, and I know a lot of people like to you know, really dismiss ready-to-run servos. For the most part, I've not had problems with ready-to-run servos. I mean, you know, they're not high-tech 7955s or anything like that, but they're not always pieces of trash either. But with this, wow, they're pretty bad. First, the steering servo here, if I get it turned on. Look at that. That's not good. You need a lot more torque than that, especially for a monster truck. So definitely something that we're going to, of course, I lifted off the ground, there you go, but you can see not a lot of torque. So we're definitely going to upgrade that. The throttle servo on it, that's actually gone out twice. The first one just died, and so I put one of the ones for the 4s on it, and then that lasted about a week or so. So, you know, I would recommend the very first upgrade you get is new servos for it. Let's see if there's anything else that is a negative. I really think that's it. It is a very tough truck. Personally, and I know a lot of people are going to hate this, a lot of people that have Savages, it's not the end-all, you know, toughest machine out there on the market. I still firmly believe that it's the Hyper 7 is tougher, and that's just because the Hyper 7 has been bashed harder, and nothing's broke. We've only had, you know, 1 or 2 little incidents with it. You know, in fact, I can only think of one thing that's ever broken. It was just a dog bone bent on the or universal joint, excuse me, bent on the Hyper 7. But this this, it's really not had anything break. The first time we took it out and we jumped it over our ramp, the camber link rod end kept snapping off, and so that was kind of frustrating. I fixed that by putting a washer down on there. Yesterday, if you look at the video before this, and this is why it's so dirty, so excuse me, but yesterday we took it out and bashed it really, really hard. We didn't put it on the ramp, but we took it out, and I missed a lot of good video, but this thing took some pretty good crashes, and it held up well. I haven't inspected it yet, but one of the things I've noticed is the wheelie bar seems to have had an issue. It popped out in the back. So, excuse me. So, but, you know, it is very, very durable. I mean, this thing is a beast, and that's what we call it, but, you know, it's not indestructible. So that's just, you know, no RC vehicles really are, I guess. But, yeah, it's definitely going to take pretty much everything that you can give it. All right, so the positives. Man, this is fun to drive. I mean, this is so much fun to drive. You know, anytime I get tired of driving the buggies or whatever, and I just want something different, this is when I take it out. And I do like the roll that it has. It's really fun. It's fast. It's very, very fast. In fact, on the street, and it's got this F4.6 engine, I think, which is a 0.28 engine. On the street, it's so fast, I really stay away from high-speed runs just because when it does get that fast, it becomes a little unstable, and boy, I don't want to, you know, crash this thing on the street going full speed. But I would say definitely it can hit 45 miles an hour right out of the box, so that's been very impressive. The engine on it, again, really easy to tune. It holds its tune well, no problem whatsoever. All right, so let's talk about some of the essentials that I think you're going to need right out of the bat if you get one of these.